Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to welcome all of you for joining us today. I'm so excited to introduce you to Genefa Murphy, Genefa Murphy is the Global Vice President of Marketing and Enablement at Micro Focus. Genefa, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me, Kevin.
Now, I understand you were on a plane and just landed last night, so thank you for joining us, with a jet lag.
Indeed, yeah, I just got back from Austria. We were hosting one of our larger customer events over there. 1,300 customers and partners joined us to learn about Micro Focus and how we help them with digital transformation.
Perfect. Those are always so fun. Matter of fact, I'm on a plane for the next couple of weeks doing similar kinds of things for different vendors. So tell us about kind of the scope of your job and what part of it do you like best?
Sure. So here at Micro Focus, I look after a number of different functions in marketing. So the first thing is I look after our Micro Focus brand. That's everything from our naming, our design, our logo, etc., and how we put that brand out there in the market. And that includes also then the next part, which is digital. So our digital presence, website, social, customer engagement, and then the execution teams who actually execute our events in region, covering Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And then my enablement teams, that's really the internal focus that we have. How do we make sure our sales and our technical pre-sales community can really tell the Micro Focus story and can engage with the customer and have the right skills and capabilities to be able to do that. So I love the breadth of the different pieces of what I get to do. And I really love as well the fact that it's connected to the bottom line, connected to the revenue of the company, and also connected to how our customers feel about us. What do they think? How can we engage? How can we get better? Not losing that customer engagement is a really important part of what I love about what I do.
So of all those things, your favorite part?
Favorite part, making money and making our customers happy.
I love it. I love it. So you've been in marketing for a while. You're in a leadership role. How have you seen marketing evolve, let's say, over the last 10 years?
Yeah, it's been interesting because there's always, I think if you look at the relationship between marketing and sales, it really goes through peaks and troughs. So sometimes there's this really good synergistic relationship. Other times there's a sort of a little bit of finger pointing that can be sometimes. But I think now we've actually evolved to a place where we have a good healthy tension with marketing and sales and some of the other teams that you see in the industry as a whole. And obviously I talked about digital transformation at the beginning. That's impacted marketing in a massive way. The rise of social, the rise of customer success, marketing being much more about customer success and customer engagement. And also as well, I saw a period of time where we went away from things like account-based marketing, and now I'm seeing them come back so that we can get both scale, but also have that personalization with account-based marketing.
Man, that takes a lot of technology, a lot of thinking around it as well. Genefa, a lot of the different leaders that I'm talking to right now, some of them have responsibility for experience and success, and some have enablement, but a lot of times those are all separate. How do you talk to us about how you see the synergy across the board for all those?
Yeah, for me, it's really important actually that you have those pieces together. It doesn't mean they have to be in the same organizational structure. I think that helps when you're actually starting to transform the organization. I would say here at Micro Focus, from a marketing perspective, we're probably in year 2 of a 3-year transformation. And so actually bringing those teams together under the same organization actually helps us to get integration. Because if you think about executing a campaign in market, you need to enable your team so that they can speak about it. You need to create awareness. And then once you do the follow-up as well, it's not just about, getting dollars from customers. It's about making them happy, making sure they feel engaged. You don't want to do what I call hit and run marketing. I think it needs to be a much more ongoing, engaged relationship, because that is what is really going to fuel your ongoing partnership with those customers and your ongoing success as a company going forward.
So, Genefa, do you think marketing leadership is easier today or harder today than, let's say, 10 years ago?
It's, you know what, I actually think it's harder. And I think it's harder because I think there have been so many marketing leaders who've raised the bar. And once you raise the bar, you raise expectations. And when you raise expectations, people want more. And so, you know, that's a challenge when you put that in the world of rising consumer expectations as well. And also looking at, you know, the marketing budgets and how those have fluctuated. So definitely I know within my role, you know, as with many of the transformations our customers are going through, we're being asked to do more with less. And that bar is continually getting higher. And so it becomes more of a challenge. So I definitely think it's getting harder, but I think there are so many tools out there which can actually help us. So even though it is getting harder, I think there's lots of opportunity.
Interesting. Now, it seems like when I was reading through all the different services and things that you guys do, there's a lot of, you know, strategy, methodology, process kind of that goes along with your brand and the way you guys approach things. That's not always easy to sell, that part of it. How do you guys do that?
Yeah, it's not. And the thing is I think you really need to focus on value and outcomes. And that's how we do it. We talk about customer outcomes, customer value, and what do we deliver. Now, we at Micro Focus have over 300 different products. We have a services organization. We have a large ecosystem of partners, 2,500 partners, to bring all of those different pieces together. But I think you have to focus on the customer outcome and also telling customer stories. Right, that's the other thing as well. There's nothing better than having somebody else tell your message and tell the value. So I think that's a key thing that we do in order to bring those pieces together and in order to make it practical and real for what our customers are actually looking for.
So that marketing approach requires a lot of content generation. How have you seen the kinds of content that customers want? How have you seen that evolve over the last few years?
Yeah, I think definitely the type of content, it's the same thing. Customers want prescriptive versus descriptive, right? Having descriptive is great. I do think you have to have a point of view, but I think that point of view needs to be prescriptive. So I see customers asking us a lot for ROI models, business models, value journeys, maturity models. How do I get from point A to point B? We actually just did a great thing at our conference in EMEA where we actually built a Lego city that represented some of the challenges in developing applications and deploying them that customers go through. And it had some great conversations there where they really just wanted to hear, well, if I need to get X as an outcome, what do I need to do in order to get there? What are the steps? How can I deploy it? And you always still have to look across those three areas. It's people, process, and technology. So bottom line is I think the content people want is prescriptive, it's related back to real customer use cases, and it's practical. That's what I think people are looking for. And then overarching all of that, you need that thought leadership element as well to challenge both yourself and your customers as to what to think about next.
Oh, we'll talk about that here in just a moment, too. That's a fascinating topic. But let's talk about the tactics of content generation from a marketing perspective. Are you seeing a bigger demand for podcasts, for video, for white paper? You know, where's the trends and what kind of content you're needing to produce and share?
Yeah, I think definitely bite-sized content, right? People want a combination. It depends where you are in the buying life cycle as well. You know, so much of the research is done online and we're overloaded with so much data. I think having that bite-sized content, whether it's things like infographics, right, a lot of visual content as well, and then definitely seeing, blogs, as you say, podcasts, and then the rise of social media as well. So I think when it comes to things like videos, there's always an interesting debate there because the key thing is how long is the video? It needs to be long enough in order to provide some meat and substance, but can't be too long because everyone wants to see it in a rush. And then the key thing with content is making sure it's available via mobile. We see a lot of our traffic coming online to our website via mobile, whether it's mobile devices, phones or tablets, for example. So that's the other thing as well. I think you need to think about that in the design of your content, whether that be your website or whether you're creating a PDF. So being able to give instant access, bite-sized chunks, and making sure you're factoring in that people are always on the road. So mobile is another key piece as well.
Oh yeah, I did. I've seen. Matter of fact, one individual recently who was in a marketing leadership position said they've gone to adding subtitles to every video because so many of the people are sitting on a bus or on a subway or in noisy environments, and that just helps them actually understand the content as well if they can't hear it well in a mobile.
Exactly. Yeah, people are always mobile, they're on the go. We've also taken to using a method of curated content as well. So we create lookbooks for our customers, which have been incredibly popular, that actually creates for them in a very easy way, collates different series of content along a particular topic. And that's great as well, because it's all about minimum number of clicks that I can get to. Easy access to the content. So once I've digested one piece of maybe a white paper, maybe I do want to see a customer reference or a video, and I don't want to have to go search for it. I want it instant access. That
is really a fascinating concept. I haven't heard that used, so that's awesome. Congratulations for that. Let's now move back, or let's circle back to the conversation of thought leadership. How do what role is thought leadership and influencer marketing in your world?
Yeah, I think for me, thought leadership is a must. I mean, there's always this balance between creating pipeline and opportunities to support our sales teams and our customers immediately and then the long term. Customers expect from a vendor, especially like Micro Focus, we're one of the top 10 software vendors in the world. They expect from us to have a point of view. And so I think thought leadership is really critical. We've actually created an online platform several years ago called Tech Beacon, where we actually put thought leadership content out there, not from ourselves, but also from competitors as well. And it's taken some time to build up, and there were some skeptics at the beginning, but we now have over 400,000 users who regularly come and visit the site, contribute to the site. I think it's really important because people are always thinking about what can I do next? How can I get better? The notion of continuous improvement. So thought leadership, critical. I think having a strong online presence, and then influencer marketing, you can define it in many different ways. It could be influencers like your big alliance partners, or influencers like social media influencers and bloggers. All are really important. Just at our event this week, over 2 days, with the social media presence we had over 22 million impressions. And the power that you can actually create with influencer marketing, just getting your voice, your brand, your message out there is incredible. So I think you need to also balance as well. What do you do internally, and where do you leverage third parties to help you with that? And I think you need both of them. And you need to strike that balance, but incredibly important. You will always get skeptics when it comes to some of the thought leadership pieces, but I recommend that all marketers put some time and effort into it and stay in it for the long term, because you will get the value out of it.
Oh, thank you for sharing that experience there too. Let's talk about the divide between sales and marketing. And I know as more things get automated, as more of the interactions with customers and prospects move to digital environments, that might swing a little bit on different areas of the spectrum. How have you seen that evolve over time, that break or that divide between sales and marketing?
Yeah, I think, going back to maybe something that I said earlier, for me, it's about what I've seen is, I think, maybe 10 years ago, sales and marketing very separate. There was a period, I'd say over the past 5 years, where even in our organization, we had sales and marketing together in a single organization under a single leader. I don't necessarily believe that that's the right model. I actually think that there needs to be a healthy tension between sales and marketing to challenge one another in a productive way. Because we're both engaging with customers, we're both getting feedback, we both have those challenges of how can we deliver for the customer and for the company. And I think, if you have two separate organizations, but you create processes and you create means for those two organizations to collaborate, it can work really well. And I've seen that partnership definitely evolve and come into a much stronger position in the past 2 years, where there's a mutual respect and a mutual tension between the two groups.
Well, thank you for giving us that insight. So let's talk about your target markets. What kind of category of companies and what roles in those companies are you really targeting there at Micro Focus?
Yeah, so at Micro Focus, we have over 40,000 customers, and we cover all of the major vertical industries. Probably our top industries are finance and insurance, then going into manufacturing, communications, media and entertainment, and healthcare. We target the large enterprise for the most part, so the Fortune 2000 type companies, because a lot of what we do is we actually help our customers to scale with their technology challenges. So if you take something like a trend in the technology world like Agile, doing it in one team in a small group takes some time, but you can get quick success with it. Scaling that to a 20, 30, 40, 100,000 person organization can be a challenge. And that's really where we have a lot of expertise. We've gone through our own transformation and we apply that to actually help our customers. So large scale enterprise is the main sort of target across all of those different industries. And that presents some marketing challenges because obviously everyone wants to feel that the marketing is personalized to them. So they want to hear our story in the context of insurance or banking, our story in the context of healthcare. And so for me as a marketing leader, that presents a challenge because you have to create that balance between, do we do the sort of generic type events in a domain or do we go very vertical heavy? And that's something that we're currently working through at the moment.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you're a technology vendor selling technology to technologists.
Exactly. We help customers with their digital transformation. We help our customers to build applications, build consumer experiences. But yeah, lots of technology.
In that process, I know because I'm intimately familiar with the MarTech and AdTech space there. Sometimes it's easy to forget there's a human involved. We're looking at it as a data with data points, and those data points mean certain actions are taking place and certain personalization efforts are generated. So different kinds of content is provided to that data point, right? But how do we keep the humanity involved in that process and recognize those are real people on the other end?
Yeah, and I think that's where as well you need to have this balance between digital marketing, right, where you are very much looking at things that you're abstracted a little bit, right, from the end consumer, and the physical marketing. Right, so doing those face-to-face events, customer advisory boards, being out there in the community with the customers, and I think that's one of the things that helps us, right, is that balance between the two, and then going back to the customer stories as well. When we look at, how have we been successful and look at our data so that we can learn, putting a face to a name, putting a real story of how that customer has implemented something, and then what were the marketing activities that led to them making a decision. But also as well, I think it's important for marketing to talk about not just, the data points, but also talk about things like corporate responsibility, right, and social responsibility. At our event this week, we did a number of things in that space that really humanized what we do. So a great example, at these events you get lots of food and things like that, and we had lots of leftover food. We actually took all of that food, we took it down to our local Red Cross shelter so that we could feed the homeless, right? Things like that, where you're thinking about executing an event. It's all about logistics, it's all about data points and whatnot, but just taking a moment to step back and saying, oh, actually, hey, how can we do things in the community? How can we make this real and relatable?
That's really interesting. That had just never occurred to me, to go outside of that at an event and use what goes on at the event to help the local populace. So fascinating. Thanks for sharing that there. So customer experience. Everybody's focused on customer experience, especially as the subscription economy continues to gain a footing out there, and it's not a once and done sale. You're marrying the customer, if you would, for the long term. So you need to be making sure that the entire experience of that during the life cycle, the entire journey is optimized as best as you can. How do you measure that in your world?
Yeah, so we look at various different things. One of the key metrics is the Net Promoter Score. So we regularly do NPS. We survey over 10,000 customers in a double-blind survey every quarter, so every 3 months. So that's one of our key metrics, NPS. And our team have done a great job at actually taking the NPS data and correlating it then to our various different product groups and saying, okay, what are the trends we're seeing about what would actually help our customer feel more engaged and be more likely to recommend? And that's because we want to create better experiences for them. So from a metric point of view, NPS is a great one. We also make sure that every event that we do, whether those are online or whether those are physical, we're doing customer surveys, right? Getting their feedback, quantitative data with the numbers and qualitative data as well. Whenever we do a slightly larger event, so anything that's probably over 50 to 100 people, we actually send one of our team out there to do face-to-face, one-on-one customer interviews. And so that's another thing that we do as well. So NPS from a large scale, using that data then internally, making sure we do surveys across our marketing and enablement events, and then actually getting some qualitative feedback, which we can then analyse and look at what are some of the common themes coming out of that in face-to-face interviews. But the key thing is also integrating and connecting the dots. So for us, it's working with our support organisation and then back into our product and R&D teams, so that anything we're learning goes back into some of the teams who can actually put it into action as well. That closed loop feedback is really important and can be really hard to do.
So Genefa, there's the concept of customer success and there's a concept of customer experience. Some organizations kind of blend the two. How do you look at those two?
Yeah, so for us, I think we're still deciding, actually. So we have a dedicated team in my team, actually, who look at customer experience and customer engagement, and they do a number of different things. They're responsible for our NPS. They're responsible for our customer stories and customer references. They're also responsible for our customer advisory boards that we do at various levels, whether that's our senior executives who we reach out to, or whether that's some of our practitioners. And then we make sure we pass that information on to our customer success teams, who are housed in the either the support organisation or in our R&D teams. So for us, it's two separate organisational structures, but a much broader virtual community who work together across Micro Focus in order to make sure that we've got a consistent message and consistent focus back out to the customer. There's nothing worse for a customer than having 10, 15 people bombarding them. They more and more, especially from larger vendors like us, want that one throat to choke, essentially. That one sort of person who, yes, they can have engagements across the org, but if something really comes down that they need help, they want one single place to go to. And so that's some of the functions that my team and the customer success managers actually take on.
Genefa, you've been just filled with a wealth of information and advice and just insight today. I want to thank you so much for joining Deep Dive today.
Excellent. Thanks for having me again. Really appreciate it, Kevin.